Welcome back to Film Fanatics, where we talk about the movies that have us obsessed, excited, and inspired. And welcome to Season 3. I'm Gaul.
And I'm Alan. This week, we have a bit of a spooky Fanatics episode for you guys, where we're gonna take a look at the whole of the Halloween franchise, as well as the newest Halloween Ends, directed by David Gordon Green, and starring Jamie Lee Curtis, as well as taking a look at the new Marvel fan favorite, Werewolf by Night.
Wait, I just realized, make sure you're recording in gallery view.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Okay, I wasn't, so now I am. Yeah, it's really great to be back in the studio, and, you know, there's a really fun episode coming up. We're looking back at Halloween in comparison to if the new trilogy does it justice, because we just watched Halloween Ends. But first, let's start with some movie news.
Let's do it. Firstly, something that will get some people excited and some people not so much. Marvel has announced a whole slew of release date shifts. So because of the whole debacle that's happening right now with Blade lost its director. There's rumors going around that my boy Mahershala Ali is very unhappy with the script and all that. So Blade has been postponed to September 6, 2024. This was formerly Deadpool 3's date.
And it's been delayed by about 10 months now.
Yeah, and Deadpool 3 was just announced that it was going to this date, and has already moved. I was very unhappy about that because I wanted that to be my birthday present. But I guess I'll have to settle for Blade. And said Deadpool 3 will move from September 2024 to November 8th, 2024. Fantastic Four's reboot, which was on that day previously, is now dated for Valentine's Day 2025, which is kind of weird for a Fantastic Four movie. I guess they can make
It's romantic.
I guess so.
It's Sue and Reed Richards.
I guess. And Avengers Secret War, which Gal has previously complained here that it was unreasonable to have it 6 months after Avengers the Kang Dynasty, has now been moved from November 2025 to May 5th, 2026. That's such a goddamn long from now. There's also an untitled Marvel pick set for February 2025 that was pushed to November 7th, 2025, and another one being set for that was set for May 1st, 2026, being moved forward to make room for Avengers. And
they reworked their show Armor Wars into a movie, so it's now going to come out in theaters.
I'm assuming it will be this February 14th date, 2025.
No, that's Fantastic Four.
No, 2025. Fantastic. Oh, wait.
Yeah, it's Fantastic Four now.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's the movie that was supposed to premiere in February 2025.
Yeah, I'm thinking it was either that or I know Shang-Chi 2 was it's been in development for a year now, or I don't know where Eternals 2 is at, but I think Armor Wars is probably going to come out a little sooner. Yeah. I guess it's probably going to be one of their lesser exciting movies. Not that I don't like Don Cheadle. I just I know you also kind of share this sentiment. It just doesn't have much going for it in terms of hype.
To be fair, I'd rather have this than having to watch 8 hours of Armor Wars.
Maybe, but if you're making it into a movie, maybe get Ironheart to be the main character at this point, because she's sort of
maybe it'll be both of them.
That would be cool, honestly, because I have a feeling people are going to really like her in Black Panther 2 and her own show. So yeah, I mean, next up, Liam Neeson is in talks for a Naked Gun reboot, and the movie's going to be directed by Akiva Schaffer, who also directed Hot Rod, Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping, a movie that I really like.
I love that movie.
And the Chip and Dale movie, which apparently everyone really liked, and I never watched it. Yeah.
Okay. So Liam Neeson would probably take the role of Leslie Nielsen here?
Frank Drebin is the character's name.
I think we've talked about ad nauseum here how much we can't stand reboots anymore.
Yeah.
So I won't go into that even though you know my feelings.
But let me just read you. We could have had it worse because apparently Paramount wanted to reboot it originally with Ed Helms, which is just kind of weird.
Yikes.
Or I guess Seth MacFarlane is involved in the writing and producing now also. Which
I don't know, man. Just do a new thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Liam Neeson, but it seems like he does the same movie now, like 3 times a year.
To be fair, that would be a different type of movie.
Yeah, that's why, like, if they make this with Liam Neeson, I'd at least be excited to see him, like, be both funny and action heavy in it. As opposed to, like...
Do you think O.J. Simpson's coming back for a cameo?
I don't even remember if he's, like, still being... Like, I know he got out, but I'm sure there's some other charge that he's facing now.
He's never coming back to Hollywood, but...
No, but I was thinking, like, is there some other charge that he's, like... Whoa, my dreams. What the fuck?
So, yeah. So, that's our second piece of news. Thirdly, we have the new Spirited trailer for Apple TV Plus came out, starring Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. It's a holiday it's a holiday musical comedy type thing, inspired by A Christmas Carol. We just watched the trailer now before we recorded, and I have to say it looks fine.
It looks,
and I'm glad I get to see it at home, because though it's usually like with Christmas movie and like holiday movies in general, I enjoy them more watching them like at home than going out to the theaters to see it.
It seems like a movie that I would put on if I've like had a long day and I just don't have brain power to watch something that requires like patience. So I just put on Spirited because there's a lot of like Christmassy stuff and it's these funny actors that you can trust. I'm always excited to see Will Ferrell. I don't know. I've been kind of scared that Hollywood's starting to like milk Ryan Reynolds playing like the same like Deadpool-y kind of role. Like I really like Free Guy. But after Red Notice, I was like, are they going to just do the same thing with him? But it's not on him. Like, he's always good.
Yeah, and get that money, Ryan. You deserve it.
Yeah.
After you had to play that horrible Deadpool character in Origins Wolverine, you deserve all the money in the world.
Yeah, not to mention the terrible Hitman's Bodyguard movies. Or Six Underground.
Go get it, Ryan. Go get your money. And lastly, and maybe, I guess the best news out of all of these, at least in my opinion.
Wait, is that me?
Oh, it's you.
Okay.
Sorry, go for it.
It's fine. And then last, and I think maybe like the best news, is we're getting Murder on the Orient Express 3, which we've probably gotten a bunch of times before, but it's like the reboot of... This is actually a reboot that I think we both like, right?
Yeah, I liked both of the movies so far.
Yeah, I didn't think either of them were great, but I enjoyed both of them thoroughly, like as murder mysteries. Yeah. Kenneth Branagh is directing it once again and starring as Hercule Poirot in A Haunting in Venice. And the cast this time has Tina Fey, Jamie Dornan, Michelle Yeoh, and Jude Hill, who starred as like basically the fictionalized embodiment of Branagh in Belfast. So he's bringing him back.
Nice.
Because like Belfast was sort of a semi-autobiographical movie about him growing up. Jamie Dornan was in it too as like his dad. So honestly, I'm just in. Like I like these kind of movies where someone gets murdered and 1 out of 10 people could have done it. Like that's just a formula that usually works for me.
Yeah. Same for me. For sure. I always look forward to these ones from Kenneth Branagh, because like the first one I didn't manage to catch in theaters. I watched it on Netflix or something, or like Disney Plus. And the second one I actually managed to go in theaters with my family because I was visiting home at the time. And we enjoy it. It's like a fun like family fare, weirdly enough, because it's like about murder and stuff. But it's the kind of thing that my family enjoys to watch together.
I went with my grandma, and I think it's fine to say this because the movie's been out for 8 months, but I think she was upset that Gal Gadot was the one who gets murdered halfway in, and that she just like wasn't going to be around for the rest of the movie. But I actually like the new one a little more than the first.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, like they were both all right, but I think I enjoyed the second one a little bit more, even though I don't like how both of them take so long to get to the actual murder.
I mean, I like both of them, I guess, the same. I would give both of them maybe a 7.5.
Like,
and
yeah.
but I did enjoy the cast slightly more in the second one.
Except for a certain person.
No, he's coming back for a haunting in Venice.
Army Hammer getting resurrected from the dead.
Both him and O.J. Simpson are coming back this year.
That's the theme.
It's their big year.
Time to uncancel.
Time to uncancel horrible people. That one hurt because I actually really like him as an actor.
Yeah, like he was great in like Social Network and Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah, he's in my favorite movie of all time. So now that kind of stinks.
And then yeah.
And he plays two people in my favorite movie of all time. So that's not great.
I guess it was fitting. Like, maybe I'll cut this out because it's a spoiler, but I guess it's fitting that he was like the guilty one in the last movie because he's guilty in real life.
Fair. So spoiler alert, I guess. I guess we should move on to our weekly review. This week we actually don't have like an outright weekly review because we're actually reviewing two things that came out this week.
But we do have an October suited theme of spooky content.
We do, and we also we basically morphed Total Recall and weekly review into one to talk about Halloween. So, Halloween Ends just came out, directed by David Gordon Green. He directed the last 3 Halloween movies, and I guess we should start with the original one from 1978, directed by John Carpenter. And that's my favorite horror movie of all time. I think you know that.
Yeah.
And man, I love that movie so much. I already gushed about it in this show so much, but I'll leave you with that. I love the direction. I love the soundtrack. One of the best horror soundtracks of all time. Cinematography is great. It's eerie. It's scary. It's suspenseful. Michael Myers scared the shit out of me the first time I watched it. I started seeing him in my windows. It was scary as shit. And yeah, John Carpenter gave a masterclass here, and Jamie Lee Curtis was great in one of her first big roles. What did you think about the first one?
I actually only saw the first one. Like, I think we've talked about this in our last horror episode. I got into horror not that early into like my movie loving career.
Yeah, me too. I only got it in my 20s.
So I only ended up watching Halloween 1978 a week before the 2018 one came out because my friends said they wanted to go see it. So yeah, I really like it. I think it's fantastic. And I think I haven't seen all the sequels. Like I haven't seen any of them that aren't canon anymore. So the ones that we're not talking about, like Halloween 2 or Halloween Resurrection, H2O. H2O. They named a movie after water. So I haven't seen any of those, and I don't know if they're like. I hear they're kind of bad.
I think H2O has its fans, but I think that's
So it's weird because Halloween and then Halloween 2 are like its own thing, I think, and then the rest are like a different canon. Because I think.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis character gets played by someone else in Halloween and Halloween 2 from the 2000s.
Yeah, so no, because that was weird. A complete remake / reboot from Rob Zombie, but then Halloween and Halloween 2 are its own thing, and then 3, 4, and 5 are without Laurie Strode, and then they did like what they did with the 2018 one is like a requel erasing the other movies, with H2O and whichever one came after. I think it was Resurrection. And then they did that again with 2018, where it's just 1978, and then
that to all horror movies until we die.
I mean, maybe if they want us to forget the shitty like late 90s, early 2000s era of horror.
Yeah, but I mean, this one has not been well received either. So
yeah, but basically, what I love about the original that I don't know if all of them or a lot of big horror movies this year nail is. It's how ordinary everything feels, and just like out of that comes like this very gruesome crime of just this one guy going around and stabbing people. Like I feel like by the time these sequels came, we were very like normalized to seeing it happening in the movies, so it can become more cartoonish. But it can feel a lot scarier and more real and brutal in that original.
Yeah.
And what I like is. Not only is Jamie Lee Curtis amazing, but I really like Donald Pleasence's character in the original, who's like Dr. Sam Loomis, and he has to give a lot of exposition, and he's like evil this, evil that, about like because he studied Michael Myers and everything,
and nobody believed him.
Yeah, and they had a similar character in the 2018 one, and he was boring.
Wasn't it the same one?
No,
but older.
No, because that actor died by the time the 2018 one came out.
No, but it was probably recast.
No, it was a different guy.
Yeah, okay.
But he was like his student.
Gotcha. I haven't watched Halloween 2018 in a while.
Yeah, but basically what I'm saying is it's hard to get a really like exposition heavy character interesting, but he's great and he complements like the less knowledgeable / like capable against Michael Myers characters really well. And I also think it's John Carpenter's best movie. I haven't seen all of his famous movies, but this and The Thing are, I think, his best. And like when it comes to, like, for example, not all the classic horrors I love, like A Nightmare on Elm Street, I think is great, but I don't think it's as good as some people say. This, I think, is, and the original Scream, I think, are as good as people say.
That's fair. Yeah, so that's Halloween 1978. This was one of the first horror movies I watched, and it right away became my favorite, and still my favorite years later. Then, with the requel era of the 2020s, came Halloween 2018, directed by David Gordon Green, written by himself, Scott Teems, and Danny McBride, weirdly enough. Halloween 2018, I think we both really like, right? I think Halloween 78, I would give a 10. And for 2018, I would give a solid 8.
I'd say 7 for 2018. But yeah, it's still a fun movie. And I think this one got to balance a little more, like being a little humorous and cartoonish, but also scary. I do think some of the side characters in it are still terrible. Like usually when it goes too far away from Jamie Lee Curtis's story, then it can get kind of annoying, especially with her granddaughter's boyfriend, who's a big part of the movie. But I think it really nails like this whole like how she was affected all these years after facing this tragedy, and how like she had her family's best interests in heart in like training all this time, even though it made her daughter sort of distance from her.
Yeah.
And she did that so well. And like there's a scene where she's like yelling in the car when she heard that Michael Myers escaped from the bus or something like that. And I just thought, like, honestly, Halloween Ends, or I think this one did a better job of being like the ultimate confrontation between her and Michael than Halloween Ends, which is weird because that one's the conclusion. And that whole like battle at the end of the house, I think, is really good.
Yeah, like I said, I gave it a solid 8 because I also watched it for the first time right after watching the original for the first time. So it was basically Halloween 2 for me, right away. And
yeah, same.
As much as it's not as perfect as the first one, I have to admire what David Gordon Green and the whole gang did here, just because it kind of retreads the Halloween story, but in a like a modern movie, but like with a lot of like visual homages to the original one. The script is pretty concise considering what it is and considering what came after and the other sequels that came before.
Also, there's this really one like smart character in this movie. There's a scene where Michael Myers like pops out and stabs the babysitter, and the kid just goes, "Oh shit!" and runs straight down to get help. And like if every horror movie character was like that, like good for you.
Yeah, that kid's great, and yeah. So this is definitely my second favorite of the franchise, which I also don't think it's very debatable, and yeah, I would have loved if it just kept on going in that direction.
Yeah, so...
Are you ready to talk about the worst one?
Yeah, Halloween Kills. I actually didn't end up watching this one in theaters.
Me neither.
Just because, I don't know, I think there were movies at that time that I was more interested in going to. But it came out at the same time in streaming, so I saw it like a similar time. And I didn't really like the direction they went. Whether it was like... I felt like it just didn't let itself stand as one movie enough, and it was trying too hard to be the epilogue to the last movie.
Yeah.
But like a bridge between this and the third movie. And I also didn't like that Laurie was just in the hospital bed the whole time.
She
even
wasn't
though,
the main character.
yeah, she's allegedly the main focus of the trilogy, but here she's like just chilling in her hospital bed. And then we get far less interesting characters going like, evil dies tonight. And then there's this whole subplot that becomes like sort of the main climax of the second act, where there's this mental hospital patient who's like running free in the hospital, or I think this person was like affected by Michael Myers or something like that.
No, he was in the bus.
Oh yeah, so he escaped
was one of the
too.
Criminals, the only other criminal that escaped. So people think he could be Michael Myers.
That's right.
Which is the stupidest shit
they
ever.
They were paranoid about
because
him.
He's a stumpy little guy. He's fat. He looks nothing like Michael Myers. Michael Myers is a tall ass dude, like very like slender. Like he's a daunting figure. That chubby little fella is like tiny, and like he has like big hair. Michael Myers has like a small head of hair. Like I honestly don't understand how people would believe that was Michael Myers.
Yeah.
If you've seen Michael Myers for more than one time.
I will admit, Anthony Michael Hall, as much as I didn't like him having more screen time than Jamie Lee Curtis,
he's basically the main character.
I think he did a good job, but like he didn't deserve more screen time than her. Judy Greer was good also.
She was great.
And I like how she took more leadership against Michael Myers.
If
and
anyone was going to be like the
daughter.
actual like protagonist of this movie and wasn't going to be Jamie Lee Curtis, it should have been her, not that guy.
For sure. And I will say, even though I think it's the worst one, I think it has some better like Michael Myers kills moments than in Halloween Ends. Yeah. Especially like the whole ending with Judy Greer and her daughter in the house.
The last scene is like the last third of that movie is actually, in my opinion, really good. I think everything after the whole hospital thing, like as soon as that ends, and it's just Michael going fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I love that, honestly. I did not hate this movie as much as everyone else did. To be fair, I watched it in like a Friday afternoon doing nothing like 2 days ago before going to watch the new one for the first time. And so I think I had such low expectations that it actually surpassed them. I was like, oh, this wasn't that bad. And I think because of the ending actually leaves you like wanting more, and like it kind of like gives you that classic Halloween like vibe that we were talking about. And again, with such great kills, and spoiler alert for this year-old movie, I guess, but when he kills Judy Greer, you feel that. You feel that. It's actually the thing you feel the most in this whole sequel trilogy, maybe.
I'll give it that.
Which is weird because it's in the worst movie.
Yeah, look, everything leading up to that final battle I thought was like really bad, but it does have a well done ending because you are like, oh, I really didn't want her to die, and that was the point.
Yeah.
And so they did. I think it is a bit annoying how like, I don't know, I guess this movie addressed it more, Halloween Ends, but in Kills, I think there was a lot more like damage that he just comes back a lot more easily from. And I get that he's supernatural, but that kind of got on my nerves at one point. Especially because it's like
Ends kind of addressed that, like in the sense that like after all that, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but like it addresses it in a way that you're like, oh, okay, so there were repercussions physically for him from that fight, because there should have been.
But my main problem with Halloween Kills is it doesn't feel like a complete movie. Even as a movie with a cliffhanger, even as a middle installment as the trilogy, I feel like we could have gotten something a lot more impactful.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a mistake to set it in the same Halloween night as the first one.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Set it a year later.
Because it's like the opening scene of Halloween Kills is like the boyfriend going, oh, I think I blew it with Allison, which is like something that you saw 3 years ago. And I'm like, wait, what happened between them? It's just, it's a little obnoxious with how much it's trying to remind you that the 2018 one exists instead of like being its own sort of rewarding film.
Yeah. But again, I did not hate it as much as most people did. I would give it a 5. It's a passable movie for me.
Honestly, for me, it's like a 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's what most people say.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's review the last one. Halloween Ends came out last week or like 2 weeks ago or something.
It came out 2 days ago.
Huh?
When we're recording this, it came out 2 days ago.
No, I know, but when this comes out,
Yeah.
it probably came out like last week or something like that. Again, directed by David Gordon Green and written by the same writing team. But this one stars Jamie Lee Curtis and just basically Andy Matichak, who plays her granddaughter in the whole trilogy, and Rohan Campbell as Corey. He is the current boyfriend of Allison. I can't say any more than that without spoiling the shit out of this movie. This one was a bit of a mixed bag for me because like I liked it a little more than Halloween Kills, which isn't saying much, I guess. But like I love the directing style still. I love David Gordon Green, and I like the beginning. The beginning is insanely good. Like the first sequence,
The first scene, I was like, what the fuck
is amazing.
just happened?
It's like, what the fuck is this movie? This movie's like gonna be something else, but then it isn't. And the final like 2 sequences, like the final battle and all that, I love that as well. And there's some things sprinkled in the middle that I liked, but I didn't like the direction that they took in, and I unfortunately can't be more direct than that because of spoilers.
This character Corey has such an like interesting progression from, oh, this is an interesting introduction of like a different kind of character, to I hated him so much. Like at one point his acting got so on my nerves that I was just waiting for him to die.
He didn't get to me that much. Like I think it was more of a script problem than a character slash
I think it's
acting
more than what they
problem.
gave him. Yeah.
I think like I even get like the story arc that he goes through. I understand it, like it makes sense in the movie. I just wish they didn't give him the story arc. I think it's more that than like he played pretty well, I guess, for what he got. But like
No, it wasn't.
I
It
wish
wasn't
it was
his,
a
his
different-
fans.
I wish they took it another direction.
No, I'm not saying the actor ruined it. It's
No,
like,
no, I know. But like I'm saying, like for what it
Yeah.
was, it wasn't like a bad character arc. It was just in the wrong movie. Like if this wasn't a Halloween movie, it wouldn't bother me as much.
yeah, like if this was sort of like a dark teen, like morally ambiguous thriller with like noir aspects, this could have worked so well.
Yeah.
But it being a Michael Myers, Laurie Strode finale movie, I was like, where's this going?
Like something like this would have made more sense in the second one, because if you're
Yeah.
trying to do a filler anyway, but like on this one, it kind of doesn't work because it's supposed to be the big finale for 2 characters, and like Michael Myers is kind of benched on this
Yeah.
one,
He's just chilling.
and Laurie is benched in the second one. So what are you guys doing?
Exactly. I mean, a lot of questionable decisions in these last 2 movies. I'll be honest. There's also, I think there's some parts that really became like unintentionally funny in this movie.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Gal laughed so much. Like most people were scared shitless sometimes, and Gal was like laughing.
and there's one scene that I thought got a little overly gratuitous. And it's like, because this one takes itself a lot more seriously than even the 2018 one did, I was like, okay, is this supposed to be like sort of comedic, like as a joke, or are we watching like these people getting slaughtered in funny ways in like you said, like a dark noir like movie? Like it just didn't fit, even though it worked in the 2018 movie that the kills were so over the top.
Yeah. So for this one, I will give it a 6. Maybe 6.5, but probably just 6.
I'm being brutal on these movies. I would
And,
give Halloween Ends a 4.
Jesus.
Look, the final battle is good. We're not going to get into, because obviously the big suspense in watching this movie is, does Michael and or Laurie die at the end? So we're not going to get into that. But it felt like I said, the 2018 climax final battle felt more like this is everything the franchise has been leading up to, more than this climax, because this one felt more like, oh, there's all this other plot going on, like you said, and then out of that, just by chance, becomes the final confrontation.
Yeah. I'm like, my grading here is basically like, because again, as if it wasn't a Halloween movie, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with it as I do. So like, as a movie, like, and I can appreciate also like them going into a different direction. This is the most unique Halloween movie we have ever gotten, I think. Like, creatively speaking, like, it's a completely different like storyline. It's not like, oh, just Michael going around killing people, and then Jamie Lee Curtis confronting him, and then that's it. Mm-hmm. Which is, or someone else confronting him, and then that's it. Because that's what all the movies were to that point. So I will give them credit for that.
But to be honest, I would have been a lot more generous with this movie if I had liked kills more also, because then my expectations would have been higher.
That's fair.
But I didn't really expect much going in, so...
That's fair. Because maybe I liked Kills a little bit more than you did, I had less of a problem with this one.
But honestly, looking back at it, Halloween Kills at least utilized Michael Myers a lot better than this movie.
Yeah, he has some great kills in that movie. But I still would give it a 6. I think the beginning and the end are... I wouldn't say perfect, but like pretty close to perfect for a Michael Myers story.
Are you talking about kills or ends now?
Ends.
Oh yeah, the ending itself, I agree, is really good.
And also the beginning, because it's also like, it's very surprising and like very egregious and very like, oh fuck. Like probably one of the best scenes in all the Halloween movies. Like,
yeah, I think both of our jaws dropped in that beginning scene.
And like, I heard that the beginning was crazy, but I did not expect that.
I don't even think I saw the trailer for this one. Like maybe just like the 1 minute teaser, so I really didn't know any of the scenes going in.
I didn't either, but like I saw like one review, I think by Christian Harloff or something.
Oh, I love that guy.
Like right before we went to see it. So I remember him saying that the beginning was pretty crazy, but not to get used to that, basically. And yeah, so that's it. We're done. My favorite horror franchise is done for like the next 2 to 3 years probably.
Yeah.
Then it will come back with like Jamie Lee Curtis's granddaughter or some shit, like playing.
Yeah, it'll be like
Jamie Lee Curtis in the 1700s or something.
Maybe. Or it'll be
Hollywood
like
would do something like that.
It'll be like the granddaughter being in the same position. And then like plot twist is Michael Myers had like twin kids who are now killing everyone.
Oh my god, no. It was actually Michael Myers' mom all along.
And like, because it's Michael Myers' kids, the movie will be called Halloween Reproduces.
Oh no. Okay, let's move on to something that we both liked a lot more.
And it's a little more accessible.
Yes, because it's not on fucking Peacock. You can watch this right now on Disney Plus, which most people have. So even Israel now has it. So I think when we left, Israel didn't have it yet, and now we have it. So that's good. It sucks, and I still use my VPN, but whatever.
I'm not going to make 2 separate accounts.
Yeah, that's not happening. That's so stupid that they made us do that. Anyway, so Werewolf by Night is the first Marvel Studios special presentation. This is basically supposed to be like one of those TV specials that we had back in the day. I don't know if you remember those. Like, it was pretty big in the 2000s and 90s, and
I mean,
way back when as well.
Do like the Disney Channel Nickelodeon crossovers count? Because when I was like younger, they used to have like iCarly crossing over with, I think it was Victorious, or like Fairly Odd Parents crossing over with Jimmy Neutron.
No, this is more like the Star Wars Holiday Special, which is like a special thing that happens like kind of like separately.
Yeah.
Like, because those things that are crossover episodes, they happen inside the season.
Inside the show, yeah.
So like, this is something completely separate. We used to have that a lot with like Star Wars.
I think I only am familiar with like the Black Mirror specials, I guess.
Yeah,
they had Bandersnatch or the one with John Hamm that technically counted outside of the season, or Sherlock had one of those.
Yeah,
so
that was not great, but still, but I think there were kind of like homaging more like the 80s ones, like
Yeah.
90s ones and so on. So anyway, this one is directed by Michael Giacchino. You might know that name, especially if you're a film fanatic. He is basically the best or like modern sound guy in Hollywood, I guess. Basically, right?
I don't quite agree that he's the best, but
modern, I mean.
Like working now. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like there's still
because-
Hans Zimmer
Hans
and
Zimmer's
there's
still
Thomas
working.
Newman.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys still working. Forget
And-
about that. But still, he was one of the best.
But he's accomplished as hell. Let's just say that. If you look on his resume, he's got Ratatouille, Incredibles, Up, Inside Out, Thor: Love and Thunder, Zootopia, Rogue One, Doctor Strange, Star Trek, The Batman, Planet of the Apes.
The Batman score is goddamn fantastic.
I hope he gets nominated for it, honestly. I don't know if it'll happen because the movie came out in March, but it can.
He can. For sure. So oh my god, this is his first time directing, which is really fun. And he directed basically like a classic monster movie from like the 1920s, and I fucking love that.
Honestly, this is exactly what Marvel needed now. I've been more positive about Phase 4 than a lot of people. Like, look, not everything is the best, but some of their movies worked for me more than some others. Like Black Widow is good but forgettable, but it's like surely not as bad as like Thor 2 or something, or even
Thor 3. No, sorry, Thor 4. I know you don't like when I say that, but
see, like I even enjoyed Thor 4 for what it was. I don't think I'd even watch it again. And yeah, like even
I still haven't
Eternals I
watched
was
it
fine
again
with, or fucking like we'll talk about this in the next episode. As much as She-Hulk has angered people, I was like, I guess like as equally positive and negative about it, but we'll talk about that another time. But Werewolf by Night I felt like really great about.
what's the best Marvel thing in a while? That's for sure.
Yeah. Maybe, again, this is unpopular. I think I might have liked Doctor Strange 2 a little bit more.
No, me too.
Yeah. But
yeah.
I guess since then, because we've had some stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and within 50 minutes, they really get an interesting story down.
Yeah.
Like we haven't spent as much time with Gael Garcia Bernal as we have with some of the other actors in Marvel. And still we feel his charisma and his energy, and I just loved his performance.
Yeah, and I think this is the way to go, honestly. I think there's some things that if the story doesn't warrant a movie or a big TV show, like a long TV show, doing something like this is like honestly the best you could do. Okay. So I think also something that would work better, we've seen like some hit or misses on Disney Plus regarding time and just how long things ran versus how long they should have ran. And I feel like there is no shame in like just converting some of these that are just not meaty enough for like 8 episodes or even a movie to something like a special like this.
They better do this for the Agatha Coven of Chaos or whatever, because I really don't think we need a whole Agatha show.
I would hope so as well.
And then it could also be some like weird horror-y thing with like a coven of witches.
Yeah, that would be actually really fun, and if they release it maybe next Halloween, that could be fun. Unless Wanda's in it, I want Wanda to be in there for 9 hours if that's the case. But yeah, I really loved it. The script is pretty tight. I love the gory action scenes.
Yeah, I think they got away with it because it's black and white.
Yeah.
But I think it's the most violent MCU thing ever, and I was all in for it. And I like how the dialogue got like old-fashioned and weird, and like there's this creepy cult leader who says all this weird stuff, and it gets creative, and that's what I liked about it.
It kind of seems like you were watching a monster movie from the 30s. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's great. Yeah.
And there's this one part that I love. I think it's in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler, but where he's like, basically they're trying to communicate with this monster, and they're like, just call him by his name. He's like, what's his name? Ted. I just
Yeah,
love
that's
that.
from the comics, and it's so fun to see like where realized, and also like Ted from the comics, he looks exactly like that.
Yeah?
Crazy how good it is, and that's not special effects. That's like a guy in a, not a guy in a suit, but like it's like a monster that they created, like IRL. It's not
Yeah.
like it's not digital.
I think it's really refreshing because a lot of Marvel fans have complained about like maybe some of the use of CGI in the
Yeah.
MCU, maybe with like franchise films in general, that there's a demand for more practical effects, especially with the She-Hulk CGI.
Yep.
A lot of anger about that.
And also the Werewolf by Night. He was also
Yeah, he's
in real life. He wasn't a special effect.
was it? Do you know if it was Gael or a stuntman?
I think it was Guile.
Oh, that's really cool.
Because you need to see his face.
Yeah. So I'd honestly be in for this. Like even like I know it's now a movie, but even like a War Machine special instead of a whole movie or show would have been
Yeah.
interesting. Or like I don't know.
No, I get that. I think there's some things that would have been better as like a special. I'm blanking right now on what I would do with that. There's a rumor going around that that's how they're gonna introduce the X-Men. They're gonna do a special for like each X-Men, and that would be really fun, like an X-Men Origins type thing, but good.
Maybe like an anthology series
Yeah.
sort of, where it's like episode 1 Cyclops, episode 2.
No, like
Rogue.
specials, like
Yeah.
separate specials like these, and basically like one would be like you said with Cyclops, one would be
Yeah.
with Rogue.
But I'm saying that if they released it as at once, like they have with like other seasons of shows.
No, but
I
then
don't
that
know.
would be a season. I don't think they would release like a bunch of specials in the same day.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I wish like there's rumors going around that they're retooling some shows into specials, this X-Men thing. So hopefully we'll get to see a lot more of those. It's also a one and done. We don't have
Yeah.
like the massive expectations that a weekly show dawns on us. Especially myself, even though
Mhm.
I love weekly shows. I do admit that sometimes my expectations get a little bit crazy from week to week, and my disappointment is a little bit more than it maybe should have been if I
Maybe,
just watched it right away.
I was thinking maybe instead of a whole show, they should do a Penguin special from HBO Max.
Oh, they should definitely do that.
Like, why does he? Like, I don't know, man. That's a different discussion, but I don't know
Yeah.
why they don't just put him in Batman 2.
No, I want it to be about Mr. Freeze, but still.
Yeah,
they should just do like a short thing.
exactly. Where he's like, hey, take it easy, or whatever he did in the movie.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so we're done. That's our first episode done. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This week we might release 2 episodes, or the next one might come next week, where we're gonna talk about She-Hulk. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining. I'm Alan.
And I'm Gal, and thank you for tuning in to our Halloween special.
Bye, guys.